don't make one part of your life your entire identity. It does not have to be your entire identity. It might be a great identity to have, and your family and society may even cheer you on for that identity, because there are some jobs and some careers that are put on a pedestal more than others. And some people may want to go towards those jobs and go towards that career because they want the accolades and the respect that comes with being in that certain field. I get that. However, you are more than your job. You are more than your looks. You are more than how able-bodied you are. You are a well-rounded person who comes with different facets, different beliefs. Hello and welcome to Kitchen Table Advice. My name is Paula and I am the host of this podcast. This podcast is a place where you can ask for any advice you want. It can be relationship, both platonic or romantic, career advice, or life advice. I wanted to create a space where people could ask questions without fear of rejection. I can't guarantee it will be good advice, but I can guarantee there will be no shame on my end. Your name will be anonymous and your identity will always be kept a secret. This is not professional advice, and I am not a licensed therapist or psychologist, and you are under no obligation to take this advice. Just think of this as advice you would get from a close friend on a kitchen table. So, let's begin. Hello, my wonderful gems. How are you? I hope you're doing amazing. If you're a returning gem, welcome back. If you're new here, hello, how are you doing? Feel free to like this video and subscribe if you like the content you're listening to. And as usual, we'll just jump into the first story of the episode. So, the title of the first story is Advice for When You Get to the Career You Thought You Wanted But Turns Out You Dislike It. Oof. Alright. So she did not disclose her age, but here we go. I always wanted to be a woman in STEM. I wanted to help break the gender gap in the tech field. But now with my first data analyst position, I find myself hating it. I don't want to look at data all day. I don't want to program and just stare at lines of code. I found what the automation team does to be way more interesting, but it seems that's more business analyst work. I'm torn on what to do. I could definitely go into the path I'm more interested in, like business analyst, but then I wouldn't be with women in STEM. The woman in STEM is a trope that I've wanted to be a part of my entire life. But now I fail myself because, well, I don't want to be that anymore, and it's not for me. Wow. This was a very short story, so we're just gonna jump into the advice. We're probably gonna have 3 stories this episode, but go where you want to go. Okay, I understand why you would like to be a woman in STEM, and I understand the gap in the STEM field. It's a heavy male dominated field, and you feel like you need representation in there. But if you're not happy, what's the point of being there? The women who are in STEM currently, or at least I would hope that the women who are currently in STEM are in that field because that's actually something they want to do. It's much easier for you to wake up and go to your job every day if it's actually something you want to do and something you look forward to. You know, like that saying that people say, it doesn't feel like a job because you really love it so much, you don't even think about the reward. However, you should always be paid for your hard work, okay? Just because that saying is out there and you feel like your job doesn't feel like a job because you're so excited, you should still get paid for it. I'm not saying don't get paid for it, because a lot of people try to use that as a means of underpaying others. But if you don't want to be in STEM, then don't be in STEM. There are other women in STEM. I mean, I understand it's a trope you always wanted to be a part of. You always wanted to be, I guess, in the tech field to bridge the gap, but if you don't like it, then what's the point of you being there? I think it's more important for you to be happy in a field that brings you joy, where you can easily wake up and go to your job all day, or just hate your job like 90% of folks and drag your feet and you don't even want to be there. Like you said, you don't want to stare code all day. You don't want to program. You want to do other stuff. You may want to program sometimes, but that's not something you see yourself doing all the time. So I just say go for it. Go for the business analyst position, or maybe, I don't know if your company offers this, but try to shadow or just look at what other business analysts do if you really like that. Because in the same breath that I'm giving you this advice, go more for the business analyst, but Don't also look at it as, the greener grass syndrome. Whenever we don't like something, we tend to romanticize and fantasize about being on the opposite side of that, and we have this greener grass syndrome. So really try to learn more about the automation, what your automation team does. Learn more about what the job requirement is and what they have to partake. Do they have to do certain things when they're in entry level, and then once they're more well rounded in a position, they get to do a bunch of stuff. So don't have this greener grass syndrome. Be open minded and just go towards your likes. We only have one life to live. At least be happy while doing that. And I can understand how being a woman in STEM, since it's something you have identified with so much, and it might really be a core part of your identity, which is why you're struggling with this decision. I can understand how that could be a core part of your identity, but at the end of the day, you have to do right by you. You have to do what makes you happy. And if that means you no longer being a woman in STEM, but being a woman in business, oh well. It's yeah, oh well. It's like, I think I've said this before, but like, we tend to really put these identifiers on us when we forget that these identifiers are just a part of a whole. What do I mean by that? Because some people, their identifier is their looks, others is their brains, other is how active they are. For you, is you being in the STEM field, you being in technology and science and all of that. But that identifier is only a part of you. It's not all of who you are. You're also someone's mother, someone's friend. You're also an amazing conversationalist. You're also a support system for your family and friends. You have all these other stuff in your life than just a woman in STEM. So the advice I'm trying to give you is, don't make one part of your life your entire identity. It does not have to be your entire identity. It might be a great identity to have, and your family and society may even cheer you on for that identity, because there are some jobs and some careers that are put on a pedestal more than others. And some people may want to go towards those jobs and go towards that career because they want the accolades and the respect that comes with being in that certain field. I get that. However, you are more than your job. You are more than your looks. You are more than how able-bodied you are. You are a well-rounded person who comes with different facets, different beliefs. Yes, you like STEM, but I'm pretty sure you also like other stuff. So don't make this a bigger decision than it is. This isn't you completely changing your world as you know it. No, this is you exploring another facet of yourself that you didn't know you liked until you got into your field and you realize this was not really something you see yourself doing long term, but you do see yourself doing automation, which is more of a business analyst side, where it kind of combines, from the way you've said it, it seems that it kind of combines the coding and the business aspect. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. Because sometimes I can kind of ramble. But I hope that makes sense. You are more than your career. You're more than your looks. You're more than your activity level. You're more than whatever identifier people have placed on you. All right. So that is it for that story. We will take a break right now and we'll be back with our second story of the episode. All right. So we are back with the second story of the episode, and the title is, I feel like I'm fading out life and I'm scared I'm letting myself down for the future. This is long and is probably going to be heavy. So please grab your tea, grab some water, and here we go. As the title states, I feel like I'm fading out life. I know everyone has their own path and whatnot, but my life feels so bleak and it scares me that I may not have a successful future. For starters, I graduated college last year with a degree in graphic design, and I haven't even secured a single interview for anything in my career path. So I would say she's about 21 or 20 or 22. I live an hour and 20 minutes away by train to a big city where lots of jobs are, but commuting is kind of hard for me unless the positions are remote or hybrid. Taking the train will be a 2-hour commute and then some. there and back each day. But as we all know, in this day and age, finding a remote job is literally impossible, especially for a recent-ish grad like me with minimal experience. Then, with just my luck, my laptop I use for my work and portfolio doesn't work anymore. So I have to put this career path on hold until I can get a new one. And even if I did have a new one, I probably would still be stuck as it's hard for me to be in person at jobs 5 days a week because of how far I live. All of this combined makes me feel like such a failure and like I chose the wrong path. I don't feel confident as an artist slash designer, and I can't just move with the way rent is nowadays. I work a minimum wage retail job and barely get scheduled 3 days a week, so my paychecks are extremely minuscule. I've been trying to apply for full-time jobs outside of my college degree like administration or office type work. I just want a stable job with a stable schedule and none of the chaos that comes with retail. But I even get ghosted and rejected for those jobs and those I can get to in person. I feel defeated, unmotivated, and exhausted. I haven't applied to jobs in about 2 weeks because it's really been pushing me into a depressive episode. Everyone's telling me it's not me and that the job market sucks. But I sometimes believe it is me. I've had I've had my mom refine my resume as she knows what type of qualification office type jobs look for and still nothing. I don't know what to do, and I feel like a failure. I'm only 22. Yeah, I said she was in her 20s. I'm only 22, which I know is young, but my future seems so bleak. I grew up financially unstable and on the poverty line, so all of this combined is bringing up childhood trauma. I'm blessed to live at home rent free, and I have an ample amount of free time and a bustling social media life, but I feel like a bum compared to everyone else who works full time. I'm feeling so bad. My next step, I guess, is to just have two retail jobs, but that sounds so miserable to me. I'm so tired and scared and feel alone in my situation. I just want to start my own life and make my own money and build my own life, but I can't. Wow. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That was a really long story, but I think a lot of people can connect with that. And honestly, I think a lot of people can connect with that. And it's like you said, you're 22, you're still young. And I don't want this advice to sound condescending at all, but you're not a failure. Maybe it doesn't sound condescending, but how do I say this? You have time. Like, just because you don't get a job in your career field doesn't mean you're a failure. Most people don't get jobs in their career fields, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I feel like this is a compound, well, you did mention this. This is a compound effect on being defeated. You just graduated, you're not able to secure a job that you like, and you work in a retail field that you don't really need to have a college degree to be in the retail field, so I can kind of understand where you're coming from. You went to school all this time to learn your passion, and you're not even able to get into that job market because of XYZ and 1, 2, 3 and things that seem out of your control. I think for anyone who's listening to this or anyone in a similar situation, it's important to remember that yes, there are things that are out of your control that you cannot help. However, there are things that you can do right now that are in your control. I think falling into this state where it seems like life is just knocking you down and you're rolling with the punches can be really scary and make us feel like we're failing at life. We're not enough. Everything is just against us and there's nothing you can do. No, there are some things that are in your control. For example, right now you're working in a retail field and your laptop just died. What can you do at this time for you to get a new laptop? I know you're only working 3 days a week and you're not making that much money. You did mention getting a second job. I understand, but I think first, I think you need to look at, instead of focusing on this big picture idea, this is what someone told me when I was in school. It's like, how do you eat an elephant? One piece at a time. I'm not suggesting you guys go out there and eat an elephant, but it does take one piece at a time. Right now, you need to focus on what you can do at this moment in this time. Don't look at the big picture of you not being in your job field, you not being where you think you were, or your classmates accomplishing this and that, and you're not there. Block it out. What can you do at this time and in this moment? Right now, since you're in graphic design, I think getting your computer ready is the number one priority. I mean, for most jobs out here, having a working computer is pretty important. That's literally how most of you are watching this, all on your phone. But having a working computer is important, especially for someone in graphic design. So you need to jot down a list of what is important at this time. We're not thinking in your job field or you having a remote. I mean, ideally you want a remote job in your field that you like and you don't have to clock in 5 days a week. Or maybe you do have to clock in 5 days a week, but you don't have to be there every single time because you live so far. I understand that. But in this point in time, what can you do? You need to find a working computer. You need to start saving from your job to at least invest in a good computer for a graphic designer. And as you get your computer, still work through that job and better your skills. You did mention you don't like your skill, you're not really confident in your own skills in graphic design. I mean, we can really be critical of ourselves. So I don't know what you're doing. Okay. But I also know we also tend to be really critical of ourselves and really critical of our work, especially when it seems like everything's just knocking us down. So I think a good goal for if you're in a similar situation as this person, or if this is you, is to just get a working computer and then better your skill while still working a retail job, or you can try to apply to other places. Just keep applying and whatever happens happens. Don't hold it too much. At least you have a job right now. Try to get more hours if you can, to just save up enough money to buy yourself a computer. It's a good thing that your mother is there and your parents are there, and you are able to live rent free with your parents. That's an amazing thing. But right now you need to save enough money to get a computer. And once you get a computer, keep applying to other jobs, whether they're in your around your location, because I know traveling far away for something in the graphic field may be a little bit difficult for you. So just apply to other jobs around your location where you can go remote, or I mean where you can be there in person, or where you can work remotely. And then once you've done that, just keep bettering your skill. You never know who listen, a lot of people get discovered online in like various ways. And I'm pretty sure you've heard this before, probably from your favorite celebrities. I can't think of any at this moment, but being sometimes we do need to take a step back. Sometimes it's not about jumping into the field and just being there 24/7. Sometimes for you to be a pioneer in that field is you going through hardship and you going through failures, and you not immediately getting into your field. You having to take on odd jobs while on the side still bettering your craft and perfecting your craft, until one day, I guess, lady luck is just on your side and boom, you get discovered. And once you get discovered, all your old work, all every single thing you created before, every single thing you worked on before, you can now implement that into creating new projects, or maybe those old works that will be discovered. It's not, I feel like on social media we get this weird idea of we need to get to the finish line fast. It's not about fast. Life, I mean, this is corny, this is cheesy, but life is a journey, okay? Life is a journey. It's not about accomplishing stuff at a certain moment in time. And I know most of us have heard you need to accomplish this at some moment in time. And I'm telling you, think the opposite. It's not about accomplishing something at a certain moment in time. We don't have a timeline as to when we are going to accomplish stuff. Maybe you have accomplishing whatever you want to accomplish at a later point in time will make it more relevant than if you had done it a couple of years before or as soon as you got out undergrad. For some people, them accomplishing whatever they need to early in early on in their life, it's how that works for them. But it doesn't work for all of us like that. So I really think taking your time, bettering your craft, and going through the motions of life is going to kick you up and down. That is just a fact at this moment in time. And I'm not saying this to diminish your feelings at all, but it's a reality that all of us have to come through. There are going to be some good days, there are going to be some bad days. It's just like a roller coaster, just going up and down. But it's what you do with those days and how you see your life that really makes the change. If you're just going to be down on yourself and not be inspired to even better your skill in graphic design, or if you're listening to this in whatever field you're doing, then yeah, you're just going to be there, scroll on your phone, let life pass you by. But if you do acknowledge that my time may not right now may not be the time for me to come out into the world and be this amazing graphic designer or this amazing thing you have in your mind. This may not be the time for me to come out, but I'm going to invest in myself and I'm going to better my craft, better my skill. I'm going to try to put myself out there so that, hey, so that maybe something is going to happen. But I really think social media has diminished the notion of delayed gratification. And a lot of people are talking about this, so this is not a new concept. That is an integral part of life. You learn so much when you have hardship. You learn so much when things don't happen to you easily. And I don't know how many of you can relate to this, but even me, when I'm learning about something new, it's through the failures that I'm able to better my craft. It's like, I know I created this like this, or I know I'm doing this experiment and it didn't work how I thought it was going to work. But it's in that failure, in that not working out the way I thought it was going to be, that I'm able to pivot, try something else, and eventually find something that's true to me. But yeah, that is all I can tell you right now. And again, I have mentioned this time and time again. You are 22. You are so young. It's okay for you to not accomplish big things by your 20s. It's okay for you to not accomplish big things by your 30s or even your 40s. That's all right. I think we have such a skewed view as to how fast we're supposed to be successful, but really think to yourself. If you were successful right now in this day and age, you have reached the pinnacle of your career or whatever you want to be, or some people is just famous. If you reach that at this moment in time, what else do you have to live towards for the rest of your life? It's like, if you reach the height, what's next? Are you just gonna stay there? Or, I mean, I actually think that's why some of the richest people on the planet, or the most successful people on the planet, or people who have achieved success so fast, tend to be so miserable afterwards, because there's nothing else for them to do. They've reached the pinnacle, they've reached the height of success. What else is there? Nothing. And they feel void. They feel like there's nothing else out there for you. Whereas when you come up slowly, with hardship, with turns, twists and turns that you may not like. You're probably crying in your bedroom, in your pillow, as to why everybody else seems to be more successful than you. But all of that, all of the hardships and all of the victories, because you also have small victories in that time. All of the hardships, all the small victories are what is able to build you up into being this person, becoming successful. I hope I'm making sense. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is, don't rush to the finish line. There is joy, and there is a lesson to be learned when you slowly take your time to become successful. Life doesn't give you exactly what you need in this moment in time, and you achieving success later on in your life. I think there's a joy in there, and I think there's a lesson for all of us to learn. And unfortunately, even though some people may not consider this unfortunate, I think it's very unfortunate for people who are successful early on in their life. I think it's very unfortunate for them. They never get to learn this critical lesson of some things take time, and that's okay. It doesn't mean you're a failure. It doesn't mean you're lesser than. It just means in this moment in time, this is going to take a bit more time for you. And I think there's also a joy in learning what works for you and what doesn't work for you, and figuring out what type of person you are in that process of this thing not working out exactly the way you thought it was going to work out. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's my idea, and those are my thoughts on that. And yeah, since this was so long, we're just going to have two stories for this episode. So, thank you so much for listening to this episode. Please tell me what you thought of the first and the second episode. I really do think there's a joy we're missing in the struggle and the hardships of life. Everyone just wants to accomplish everything really, really fast. It's just like, slow down, smell the roses. It's okay for this not to work out the first time you try it, or the second, or the 10th, or the 100th. It's all right. But I really think there's a lot of stuff that we're lacking as a society, trying to reach this arbitrary goal really, really fast. It's just like everyone just needs to calm down a little bit. There's no timeline on success. There's no timeline on reaching the pinnacle of your career. There's no timeline on when you should even have a family. All right? There is no timeline. Take life as it. Take life. What is it called? Accept life the way it presents itself to you. All right. But yeah, if you like this episode, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel. And if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, then please feel free to leave us a review, preferably a 5-star review. And lastly, we get our stories on our email, which is kitchentableadvice@gmail.com. We always love hearing from you, and we love reading your stories here. So that is that. Thank you so much for spending your day with us, and we'll see you next week. Bye.